As you guys are probably well aware by now on my channel, I kind of have a thing for external batteries, also called power banks. I just think they're extremely beneficial to have, not only for EDC purposes, but also for survival or emergency situations, due to the importance of our electronic devices like our smartphones, tablets, things like that. And I find that I'm always on the hunt for the perfect external battery. Well, this one really caught my eye due to the sleek design, and I wanted to test it out, not only due to the sleek design, but also that it's a 20,000 milliamp hour external battery, which is just huge. It's very thin design, and the best thing the thing that caught my eye the most was that it has a digital LED reading there on the side to tell you the current charge of it. A lot of the times you'll see external batteries have the 4 LED lights there, and for each one that represents 25% of power. But for me, I kind of like having that more exact reading on there. Would you rather have a 95% on your final, or would you rather have a 77%? I'd rather have a 95, but that's kind of the difference that you're getting in there when you have that digital LED reading. So as normal, we have the high output of the 2.1 amps on one end, and then we have the low output of 1.0 amps on the other. And so a lot of the times you use the 2.1 to charge your tablets, and then at the same time charge your phone. You have the input over here using the USB micro, and that's about it as far as the everything on the outside. So let's go through the standard external battery test that I usually do on the channel. We're also going to bust out the USB power meters to just see how accurate the output levels are for each of the USB ports. So let's get started with this product review featuring the Vinsic 20,000 milliamp hour external battery. The Vinsic is a lot heavier than the other external batteries that I've tested over the years. As you can see, it weighs in at 1 pound 3.6 ounces, which is 555 grams. So quite heavy, especially when you compare it to some other competitor brands. Let's see how this one weighs. So this one we have a 440. This is a 22,000 milliamp hour battery. So this one's less than a pound. So you have a lot more beef in here, although it's much thinner than what I would expect for 20,000 milliamp hours, and maybe you have some extra electronics in there to use that digital reading in there. But it's quite a beefy external battery. For those of you unfamiliar with using these external batteries, basically they comes with a USB micro cable. They're all pretty standardized now, and you use the same cable to not only charge the external battery but also charge your devices. So you're going to connect the USB micro into one end, and then connect this USB port into the power then to charge this up. Now, since it's 20,000 milliamp hours, it does take a long time to charge. I find that it takes over 24 hours for me to get a full charge if it's all the way down to zero. But it does last a long time depending on the battery size of your smartphone devices and everything like that. They're all kind of various milliamp hours on the batteries on these kind of things. But I find that with all external batteries that I test, that whatever they advertise is, like for example, this is 20,000 milliamp hours. If you do the math exactly, it's not going to be you're not going to get that amount of charges in there. So I usually bank on having around 65-70% of what the advertised milliamp hours is for what it could actually charge on a real device. And I find that the Vinsic is pretty accurate with that, which also goes along with the other manufacturers that I've tried out. So as you use the battery on here, you're going to see this number decrement, so as it's charging whatever device it's plugged into. So let's connect it right now to just a smartphone. We have a HTC One M9, so we're going to charge it in there. One thing I do like about this is that it immediately starts to charge that device. You don't have to press the power button on here. They're actually, with a lot of devices that I've tested, it doesn't have that auto recognition of a device, and for example, in this one, you have to press that power button to actually get it to go. With the Vinsic, it just starts going right off the bat, which is a nice quality. That's something that with Anker external batteries, that's pretty standard with them, but not a lot of them do that, and I was really happy that this one does. So again, you could switch it from whatever port you have available, and you could do multiple devices at the same time then. So if you want, you could plug in your other USB cable here to charge your other smartphone, or maybe even a tablet. So what I like to do now is use these USB power meters to test the actual output that's going out of here. As you can see, it has the voltage, the amperage, and the wattage. So and I have it on both ports over here. So let's connect it to a couple of smartphone devices and see the output level. Now, Vinsic will give you a standard USB micro cable. It's not a fancy one. I find that you get a little bit better performance if you invest in a higher quality USB cable, but we'll just use the stock ones for this particular video. Okay, so I switched out one of the USB micro cables for a white one, so it's easier to tell the difference between the white phone and the HTC. So let's connect the white cable to the high output on the Vinsic. So now let's plug it in really quick. It'll tell us the watts, the amperage, and the voltage. And then let's connect the other one. to the HTC. Alright, both devices are charging, and let's take a quick look at the USB power monitors. So we'll see the Samsung Galaxy is charging at 1.6 amperage. By the way, when they advertise 2.1 amperage, usually you're going to see around an actual performance of around 1.4 to 1.6. And so it's right around there on the high output one, and then on the low output, that's advertised at being 1 amp, and we're seeing that pretty accurate with their on the Portapal USB monitors. Now let's verify the USB ports individually. So let's use the HTC for this particular test. So we're going to connect it to the high amperage one. So let's connect it really quick. And let's see where it settles at. Okay, now as you see here, this is something that I've been noticing, that right now it's registering at 0.43. Now there's currently around a 9 to 10% charge on that device, so it definitely needs a charge. But again, it's on the high amperage right there. And let's move it over to the low amperage right now. Then we move it to the low one. And as you can see, it's jumping up way above what was advertised on the high output one. So right now it's at 1.15 amperage. Let's move it back to the high one. And there, as you see, it's going back to that low amperage reading. Now, this is really strange to me. Normally, I don't see this kind of functionality or performance or behavior with external batteries. Let's try the other device. So again, here's the white cable one. We're going to be using the Galaxy S5. Let's connect it to the high output. And let's see, this one, it looks like it's currently at a 20% charge, and we're right around 1.16 or so amperage. Let's move it over to the low amperage one. And then that one's going to 1.16 as well. So kind of strange behavior from what I've seen with other external batteries that I've tested. Let's repeat that test now with some competitive external batteries. Let's start off first with the Anker over here. So in the Anker, let's see, we have the high output, I believe, on this side with the blue one. So let's plug it in really quick. We'll just do a single device at this time. So we're at the high out. It's charging. 1.06. Let's move it to the low one. 1.16. So consistent on both of those. Now let's try this Fremo, which also has a kind of a power indicator in there. So we have the high and the low output. This one you actually have to turn on with the button, which you don't with Vinsic, which is a nice feature. So on the high one there we have 0.44 amps. This one settles right around 0.9. And let's move it over to this power add. So again, here's the high one over here. .44. .06. So it looks like similar behavior with all the batteries. Let's do that test again now with both smartphone devices. So we're going to connect the HTC to the low, and we'll connect the Galaxy to the high. And in there. There we go. Okay, 0.86 on the low, 1.15 on the high. Let's see if that's consistent. And we'll end with Vinsic. Again, that was the Anker, low, high. This is the Fremo. Fairly consistent. Let's move it down to the power add. Looks like this one's running a little higher. And finally, let's end with the Vinsic. And we'll put this one on the low, and this one on the high. As you can see, the Vinsic behaves very similar to some of the other competitive external batteries. They all kind of fluctuate on the actual device depending on what the milliamp hour battery is on that device, if it's a tablet versus a smartphone, what the current charge is on that device at the time of the charge. So you're going to see, with a USB power monitor, you're going to see that kind of fluctuate. One of these days I'll need to graph out all the external batteries to do have some data points that we can compare with multiple points of reference. But again, the Vinsic seems to be performing just fine according to the USB power monitor. Let's quickly go over the pros and cons of the Vinsic external battery. So starting off first with the pros, the number one pro, I really like that it has that LED indicator here on the current charge level of the battery. That's just a really nice feature. I wish all of my external batteries had that instead of going with the 4 LED approach to show 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. I prefer having that accurate reading on there. I do have some other external batteries that do something similar, but not nearly as well as what the Vinsic is doing. As you can see, this one, the screen, it's a little bit harder to read, and the Vinsic just does a real nice job with it. So that's the number one pro with it. I really like the form factor of it and just kind of the sleek design. It's nice and smooth. There's no real sharp edges on it. It just looks like a really sleek electronic device. The USB the amperage that you're getting out of the output port seems to be fairly consistent, which is a good thing. I find that it charges my devices extremely fast, so it seems to be able to recognize which device needs the most charge the fastest, and it'll do that. So it has a little bit of intelligence over there. I like that all the USB inputs in here are on the same side. You don't have anything on the side. For example, with this particular one, you have the output ports over here, and then to get to the input for charging it, you have to go on the side over there. I really like that this one has all of those just right flush for quick access like that. And that's everything I have listed for the pros of the Vinsic, other than the extremely large size at 20,000 milliamp hours. How could I forget that? I mean, that's really impressive. Great for a 72-hour bug out bag, for example. So let's move on to the cons. The number one con with this particular power bank is that it's on the heavy side. It's definitely the heaviest one that I have in my collection. I have other ones that are similar in size with 20,000 milliamp hours and above, and they're definitely lighter than this one. I'm not sure if it's due to the case or perhaps there's extra electronics in here for having that LED indicator over there. But it's definitely on the heavy side. The next con, I really wish that it had the labels on the side here instead of on the bottom. I don't like having to flip it over like that to see what the labels are. I wish that I could just look at it like that and say, okay, here's high output, here's low output, here's the input, there's where the power LED is going to be. For the next con, it does take a long time to charge. It's going to take you over 24 hours to charge, but that kind of goes with the territory of having a large external battery. If you had a 10,000 milliamp hours once, it's going to charge overnight. This one's going to charge, within around 24 hours or so. And again, it's a little bit on the slippery side. That's kind of a good thing as far as for aesthetics and how it looks. It looks really cool like that, although it is kind of prone to slipping just due to the design of the case. And that's all I have listed for the cons of the Vinsic power bank. That's going to do it for this product review featuring the Vinsic 20,000 milliamp hours power bank external battery. All in all, I think this is a really nice one to have, especially if you're looking for an external battery that will provide you with more than 24 hours of charge time for your electronic devices, such as your smartphones, your tablets, things like that. A lot of the external batteries that you'll see will be, around this form factor and more around the 10,000, 12,000 milliamp hour. This one's a much larger one. It'll provide you with, I think it'd be good if you're looking for a 72-hour type external battery. This would be a good option, for example, for a 72-hour emergency kit or a bug out bag. This would be able to charge maybe your walkie-talkies, your rechargeable batteries, your smartphone devices, tablets, e-readers, anything like that for around 72 hours. I think it worked really great for that. And having this power accurate reading here will help you, keep track of how much you're actually using. If I'm at 80% versus 98%, I think that's kind of a big difference, and that's not something that you get when you just have the 4 LED indicator lights that you do with most other external batteries. You'll see that with this one as well. So the 4 ones over there, this one's much more accurate. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this product review featuring the Vinsic external battery. Please feel free to leave any kind of comments below in the comment section, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.